Whoa, talk about don't judge a book by its cover. Because when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I was like, man, that looks like it's gonna be crap. But DreamWorks surprised me. I should have known DreamWorks could surprise me every now and then because DreamWorks is the home to some of my favorite animations of all time. Shrek 2, Kung Fu Panda 2, How to Train Your Dragon 2, those are some of my best animations of all time. So I guess the lesson is don't sleep on DreamWorks. Unless they make something terrible like The Boss Baby. So I knew I had to crap on some movie this weekend because Ghost in the Shell honestly is getting just as bad reviews as this movie, so I chose to go see the movie I thought would be crappier, and yeah, it did disappoint. So The Boss Baby stars Alec Baldwin, and he is just that. He's a boss baby. It starts off through the perspective of the 7-year-old kid who is enjoying the single life, not as in relationship single, but just the joys that come with being an only child in the sense of you're getting all the attention and love for your parents. But so one day his world flips upside down when a baby in a business suit arrives in a tuxedo and starts taking over the home. So the baby's basically on a mission from his company called Baby Corps, and his job is to find out information of how this rival company, Puppy Corps, is getting all the love and attention and save the day for his company. So they go on an adventure, they bond, and they end up stopping, or at least attempting to foil the plans of the evil Puppy Corps. And okay, that's enough about the plot of this movie. First of all, if I'm going to start off positive, I will say in typical DreamWorks fashion, the animation is fantastic. Admittedly, the babies are very cute, and they switch back and forth between the animation style. Like half the movie, not exactly half, but some of the movie takes place in the 7-year-old's imagination as like some of the action and the conflicts unfold, because it mostly takes place, it's actually Tobey Maguire is the older version of the kid, and he's narrating just the events of the plot that's unfolding. So most of it takes place in the 7-year-old's imagination, and when it does that, it switches into like a more classic animation style. It was interesting, but yeah, it looked pretty good. The second thing is that the bond, this is ultimately a movie about family and the potential fear someone has when they find out they're expecting a sibling. And it does have that family lesson, family friendly, safe for the whole family lesson, and it does have that lesson present, and the bond between the two brothers, the baby and the 7-year-old, it actually felt really, it was done pretty well. I mean, this movie went for the feels a couple times, like it was something out of Pixar or something like that. It didn't hit me in the feels, but at least I was like, okay, you guys are at least trying to establish a good heartfelt moment between brothers forming. And that's basically it for the positive. First of all, oh my gosh, this movie is not funny. It's, even by kids' movie standards, Pac, chill out, this movie's for kids. Yeah, well, I saw this movie in a theater with a bunch of kids, and they were mostly quiet. The jokes were not landing. Alec Baldwin does a good enough job as the baby, honestly, but if you're not given any funny things to say, how can it be entertaining? It's kind of like the sense of Iron Fist, where it's like, I thought Finn Jones did an okay job acting-wise, but if your character's written so blandly and flatly, no one's going to enjoy seeing you on screen. If this movie had anything going for it, it's clearly Alec Baldwin, but was Alec Baldwin, the novelty of Alec Baldwin voicing a talking baby, enough to carry a 1 hour and 40-minute movie? No. That's another thing. This movie drags on way longer than it's supposed to. They like to drag on the third act to find out, you find out the main scheme, 40 minutes before the movie ends, and the lasting conflict drags on way longer than it needs to be, honestly. And another thing about this movie, it's over the top in all the wrong ways. Besides its flat humor, its humor is all slapstick, all stupid pee and fart jokes and poop jokes and stuff like that. Things that I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, if the kids aren't laughing there's something really wrong with this. I mean, come on. I felt like they were insulting these kids' intelligence by just having those type of jokes in the movie. And honestly, there were a couple times where they tried to squeeze in some adult humor, and it didn't land for me either. I was just like, no, I see you trying, DreamWorks. I see you trying, but this is a flop. I have no idea how to say it. This is just kind of a flop. It's over the top in all the wrong ways. I chuckled once in this hour and 40-minute movie. I chuckled once. And that time where I chuckled, it was just because I wasn't chuckling because the movie was just being plain funny. I was just sitting there in my seat like, wow, is this a joke? I think the main funniest joke in this movie is that this movie is real. This is actually a thing. It was some like chase sequence where the movie was just trying to be as ridiculous as possible, and that's another thing about the movie. It's schizophrenic in the sense that it doesn't know when it wants to play by the rules of the world that they're trying to go for, or is when it just wants to be completely insane, over the top, and do things that make no sense at all. And that's because it switches in those action and those chase sequences, it switches between the boy's imagination and real life. So it's like, wait, there's no way you could have done that in real life, but you did in the imagination. But what? Like, and this plot is unnecessarily complicated. I mean, they establish early on that it's the narrator retelling the story of him and the Boss Baby's adventures, but by the end, you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. This plot is raising more questions than it is answers, and it's a movie about a talking baby voiced by Alec Baldwin. You shouldn't have to think about this, since they clearly didn't. That movie, that concept did not sell for me on paper, and it definitely didn't sell on screen. The Boss Baby is lazily written, and it's a hunk of junk. I'm gonna give The Boss Baby 2 stars overall. Probably the worst movie I've seen this year. If you have kids and you're going to the theater soon, please take them to see Power Rangers. They'll have a better time with that, and you will too. You'll have a much better time. Both of you guys will have a much better time with Power Rangers, guaranteed, than this piece of crap. Please don't go see it. It is not worth your money at all. Anyway, guys, I'm Pac. Thanks so much for hearing my perspective, and I'm out for now.